My poll tax certificate from 1960 when we had to pay $2 or $3 to vote, and we only made $2 or $3. So you had to choose between eating or voting. That was the suppression back in the 60s. If you missed 1 year, they doubled it up on you the next year. I didn't have to pay because I was a veteran. So this is my exemption certificate, but I had to show it. So when they say you don't have to show ID, we've been showing ID since we started voting.
Now, if you want smoke, I'm here for all of it. But we not about to play the gaslighting game. Just like we said FBA is not an organization, FBA is also not a movement. There is a movement, though. The movement is called the Delineation Movement. FBA is the lineage, delineation is the movement.
All right, positive energy all the time. Here we go, Juneteenth. Let's talk about it. Yep, here we go, Juneteenth. Yes, indeed, Foundation of Black Americans. I see we got some haters in the building, constantly posting, and then can't spell. What is satin? All right, get yourself together, okay? Get your mind right. Go seek help. Go seek help. You know what I'm saying? So you'll get off the internet. You know, maybe you need to put the Bible down, do some exercise, go plant-based or something, get your mind right. Okay? Do some push-ups or something. He's having a conniption fit. I'll tell you, people on the internet, why does he care what we doing? Unbelievable. These people on this internet, bro, go get a life. Go talk to God, because I don't want to. Go type something to God, because I don't want to. I'm not interested in what you talk about. Maybe God will read it. Maybe God will read that scribble scrabble. Crazy. Unbelievable. Boy. So come on in. Have you ever been around the God fanatics? They be the biggest sinners, right? You ever been around people can't have a normal conversation? Oh man, change the channel. I don't want to watch golf. Golf is against God. You know what I'm saying? Everything is against God. Unbelievable. You ever dealt with God fanatics? Oh, they're the worst. Nothing be godly about them. They be about as ungodly as you get. Rude. I'm like, your God is rude. Invasive. Thank God that God ain't like the God fanatics. Huh? Imagine if their God was like them and be screaming at us from heaven, y'all stop! You know what I'm saying? Thank God that God is not like the God fanatics, okay? That's why we love the King, because he let us do our own thing. Just talking crazy. Everything is satanic. His entire family, his ex, his baby mama. You know that. And me, I'm definitely the devil, according to him. I'm definitely, I am definitely the devil, according to him, for sure. And, oh boy. Only on the internet. I love the internet. The internet is the best case study ever. If you want to study mankind, the internet, especially YouTube. YouTube Live is a great study of mankind. According to him, I'm the Antichrist, and he followed me. As soon as I post, I'm the first one. The devil's on there. I got to go say something. You know, you gotta make this up. He can't wait, because as far as he's concerned, I'm the devil. He can't wait till the devil go live. You know what I'm saying? Bro, unsubscribe to the devil. You know what I'm saying? Boy, you cannot make this up. Oh boy. Oh, the devil, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Pharaoh, he is so evil. Subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Like, share. He's like, But I'm the devil. He likes, shares, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that. He don't want to miss nothing the devil talk about. Oh boy. I can't even come over here for people start. You see how they do me? I can't get a break. I just got here. Oh my God. I just got here. I can't get here 2 minutes. Now I'm Lucifer. I thought if I was the devil, I'd get my reparations. Why I can't get my reparations? Listen, the dude said I'm the devil. So I'm going to tell you what, to the Trump administration, if we don't get our reparations, all y'all going to hell. Since I'm the devil, why I can't send people to hell? I didn't get all my devil powers. I don't got no powers. I got to be the weakest devil in devil history. I can't even be a strong devil. He back. God hates liar. Well, I mean, he hates your mama for sure, because you ain't that your daddy is not yours. That's not your daddy. he says God hates liars. That means God hates your whole, probably hates a lot of people in your family. Definitely, God definitely hates you because you ain't righteous. He said God hates liars. Well, why is Trump still alive? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Are you all right, son? Well, somebody send him a medic over there. He having a religious conniption fit. Boy, them people, he be in jail. Why'd you slap your 2-year-old? God told me to. You know what I'm saying? God be telling them to do, them people, God be telling them to do some crazy stuff. I'd be like, bro, that wasn't God, You listening to an impersonator, okay? That's not God, bro. Pagan holiday, Hosea, okay. All right, listen, okay, you come back tomorrow. I'll unblock you later on, okay? I'll unblock you later. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, get lost. Amen. Selah. Rastafari, Shalom, and all the holy words. You know what I'm saying? In the name of Jesus, I'll unblock you tomorrow, but not tonight, okay? Go eat your bologna sandwich and relax. He couldn't wait till I went live. I couldn't wait to watch your unholy self. He followed all us sinners. Boy, I tell you, what time is it? I'm just getting started. My day is my second part of my day is just starting. Jesus Christ. Oops, he don't want me saying that. Oh boy, the internet, some days, boy, something else, boy. Ooh wee. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. The religion is dangerous. I tell you. So today is Juneteenth. Couldn't let the day pass without speaking on Juneteenth. You know what I'm saying? You ever know? You ever notice? And with no disrespect, you ever notice all the other black people for foundational black Americans? Have you ever noticed how quiet all the other black people be on Juneteenth or things concerning our mistreatment? You ever notice how quiet they get? Now Ghana's having a Juneteenth festival. Uh, it's crazy to see the slave sellers celebrating selling the slaves. Like I thought you Africans the ones that sold that traded the slaves. What the hell? How is West Africa having a Juneteenth when West Africa was in on slavery? Somebody West Africa was in on the slavery and didn't do nothing to help stop it either. Just showed up after it was after slavery and after all we went through and we finally got a break in the 70s, Africans popped up. Well, good, my brother, I had to come once everything got all right. You know, Africans popped up in the 70s. They didn't pop up in the 60s, the 50s, the 40s. When it was smoke, you didn't see an African nowhere. And then boom, civil rights movement, we could come outside. We outside doing our thing. We getting jobs, we moving up. My brother, the Africans popped up in the 70s when the smoke was clear. When it was smoke, the 50s, the 40s, when we had to defend ourselves against all type of racial attacks, not an African nowhere. Soon as we get our civil rights and Lyndon B. Johnson signed the civil rights bill and we can get jobs and make money, oh, here come all the Ghanaians and Nigerians. But when we couldn't get on the bus, Rosa Parks and all that, getting water holes, not African nowhere. Now with brothers and sisters like that, who needs enemies, huh? And they're like, why are you trying to not identify yourself for Africa? Nigga, we don't know y'all, okay? I'm just keeping it a bill. Like, listen, man, we got nothing in common, okay? I remember coming up when I got into the Rasta culture and the Pan-African culture, that's because black people, we were seeking, we was looking for, trying to trace our lineage. But when I actually started meeting a lot of people from the Caribbean, Africa, I was like, why would I want to link up with them? When I started realizing they was only in America for their own financial benefit, and it had nothing to do with us, really. And in some cases, were competitors, which wasn't obvious until now. You can see that they're here on a competitive type. They're not here on no type of brotherly and sisterly. They're here on some competitive, like some replacement, like undercutting type stuff. How much do you pay Denzel for the movie? I would do it for half the price, type shit. Undercut, cheap labor, basically. For real. Even in them offices and stuff, they're not getting what we want. They're getting less. They're undercutting us. Of course, the Europeans like, oh, okay, you'll do it for less. Yeah, good, sucker. I mean, the Mexicans the same way. Oh, you'll come in here and work 16 hours straight? Okay, bet. Oh, I love Mexicans. They had this factory in Chicago. They had the bread factory, and they had the Mexicans in there working 12 hours with like 2 15-minute breaks. The government had to run in there and shut the place down. Yeah, bread factory in Chicago. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? They was here misusing people. See? Chicago bakery loses 800 workers after immigration raid. Y'all remember that? At the Clover Hill Bakery? Clover Hill utilized third-party temp placement agencies as a buffer. Labor organizers have historically highlighted how these staffing agencies and just brought them in and had them working for nothing, so they don't got to pay like Americans a decent wage. So they bring the Mexicans in and the Venezuelans and all them in as slaves. They make them slaves, modern day slaves. For real. Them people's working 12 hours with two 15-minute breaks. Two 15-minute breaks. Sometimes if they felt nice, they give them 3. At the bread factory up there. And then you wonder why when you eat the bread, you get food poisoning and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because you know they ain't going to make it right. They know they get mistreated. They going to do all kind of stuff to that bread. Boy, you ain't going to eat that bread. That's on the other side notes. Follow me on Vegan Intel because it's time to make your own bread, your own pasta. You're going to start making everything from scratch. Y'all seen the video on how the berries and strawberries ain't real and all that? It's getting crazy. They making fake blueberries and strawberries. Oh my soul. So it's Juneteenth. I couldn't let it go by without touching on it. It's an unfortunate part of our history. What happened before that point. Most people say, no, Juneteenth was a good thing. It's not a good thing that you have to get free. I wouldn't say a holiday where you get free is a good thing. I think I'll say it's a good thing you got free. But I mean, what about Juneteenth? You wasn't free. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't free the day before Juneteenth. So just because it's the next day and you're free, that doesn't cover up the day before. Then everybody didn't even know they was free. And typically the American government, especially under the Trump administration, they don't want to acknowledge any of that. Even though the slavery got passed down to them, white America pretends like the money didn't get passed down to them, the benefits didn't get passed down there. Oh no, we don't benefit. I have to work every day. You know what I'm saying? Shut your lying ass up. You know you benefit from that money. You know all the companies you work for built those companies off of slavery. Now, how you work for companies, how you going to banks that's built off of blood money and saying you ain't responsible? How you think them banks got that money? They got that money from free labor. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, all of them was in on it. All these big companies, all these big railroad companies, clothing manufacturers, some of them manufactured slave clothes. So let's look at the facts. Juneteenth. Officially, Juneteenth, National Independence Day, is a federal holiday in the United States. It is celebrated annually on June 19th to commemorate the end of slavery in the United States. The holiday's name, first used in the 1890s, is a portmanteau of June and 19th, referring to June 19, 1865, the day when Major General proclamation in Texas at the end of the American Civil War. During the Civil War period, slavery came to an end in various areas of the United States at different times. Many enslaved Southerners escaped, demanded wages, stopped work, and took up arms against the Confederacy of slave states. In January 1865, Congress proposed the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution for the national abolition of slavery. By June 1865, almost all of the enslaved population had been freed. Almost all of the enslaved population had been freed by the victorious Union Army or by state abolition laws. When the National Abolition Amendment was ratified in December, the remaining enslaved people in Delaware and Kentucky were freed. Early Juneteenth celebrations date back to 1866, at first involving church-centered community gatherings in Texas. They spread across the South among newly freed African American and their descendants and became more commercialized in the 1920s and 1930s. often centering on a food festival. Participates in the great civil rights movement of the 1960s. Juneteenth celebrations were eclipsed by the nonviolent determination to active civil rights, but they grew in popularity again in the 1970s with a focus on African American freedom and African American arts, beginning with Texas by proclamation in 1938 and by legislation in 1979. Every U.S. state and District of Columbia has formally recognized the holiday in some way. Juneteenth was recognized as a federal holiday in 2021 when the 117th U.S. Congress enacted and President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law. Juneteenth became the first new federal holiday since Martin Luther King Jr. Day was adopted in 1983. Juneteenth is also celebrated by the Mascogos, descendant of Black Seminoles who escaped from slavery in 1852 and settled in Coahuila, Mexico. So that's what's going on with that. It's a holiday not really supported. Yeah, Brooks Brothers and all of them. I got a list. I'll play that video. It's not really supported. A lot of foundational Black American men don't identify as foundational Black American men first. And a lot of them are sellouts. A lot of foundational Black American men are a disgrace to their race. They'll get behind Christmas. They'll get behind Valentine's Day. But anything concerning their ancestors, they blow it off. They don't do much work when it comes to Black history. And they're disgusting. And when the foundational Black American man doesn't have an identity, doesn't have no unity concerning history, then he won't have no unity concerning the future. So that's why you don't see businesses. That's why you don't see that camaraderie to do anything. That's why you see the gang violence. That's why everything concerning the foundational Black American man is about competition against each other. If you say this, they say that. So if we decide, you know what, we're going to define ourselves more clearer. Now we're going to define ourselves as foundational Black Americans. A lot of the Black men will fight that. But they'll all get a beer and watch the Super Bowl. They've totally sold out their culture, their race. They totally sold out their great 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 grandparents. Their great great grandparents will be just disgusted with them. They've totally forgotten about those people. And they got an attitude like, well, today is today. Today is today. But you won't see the Jewish people do that concerning Germany. You won't see the Japanese do it concerning Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But you'll surely see the Black man discard his ancestors. I mean, overall, it's a disgrace. We do got some good brothers, but overall, like my judgment, as a ruler, as a high ranking official with leadership qualities, the Black man in America is a chump and is a disgrace. He's a chump. He's his misguidance or lack of leadership's got our prisons and penitentiaries full of misguided Black men. Because there's no type of camaraderie or unity to create any type of economy. You are a job beggar. And the Black man in America is a job beggar. He doesn't provide jobs. He begs for jobs. He works for other people. He does not hire his own. He can't even hire his own women and children. He doesn't have any problem going to somebody else's store, watching somebody else's TV programs, buying somebody else's electronics. He don't have no problem with it. Well, if you look at other cultures, if this culture got the PlayStation, this culture will make the Xbox. I'm just saying, all you got to do is look. The Xbox and the PlayStation is the perfect example. What's the name of the black one? No, our sons is on those two. Playing games with companies that will hire their own before they hire you. Like whatever race of people run those gaming, they're going to hire their own. They're not going to hire you. You're going to be, maybe if they just absolutely need you, you won't hire yourself. And so slavery is still in effect, mental slavery, because you still are just used to mate, to make more slaves. You don't run nothing and you're fine with it, basically. Your black people in America are only in competition with other black people. They're not in competition with whites, Hispanics, Asians, like that. They're not interested in matching neighborhoods, building neighborhoods. They're interested in having a better house than you or a better car than another black person. But they're not interested in making cars better than, you know, Japanese cars and German cars in America. They're not on that type of competition. The only competition they're into is against other black people and black people at the bottom. So they're at a competition at the bottom, really. Now we make a lot of money, but being at the bottom making a lot of money means you're just making a lot of money to spend because you don't make nothing. So yeah, we make lots of money. Foundational black Americans bring in lots of money, but we don't have any way to spend it with ourselves. So who cares how much money you make if you got to spend it back with them? I mean, you can't buy a candy bar. What's the black candy bar? I know we got Nestle. I know we got Hershey. What's y'all's name? What's ours? What's our chocolate company name? I know you got General Mills. I know you got Kellogg's. What's ours? What's the name of ours? Interesting. So when the black man has been demilitarized, which he has, he's been demilitarized, so he can't go into business because business is based off of the concept of military. The CEO is the general, is the commander in chief. And so because the black man has been demilitarized, he doesn't have rank and file. And without rank and file, his woman's not going to have rank and file. So he's not going to be able to do any type of business because he won't respect a CEO. He won't respect a CEO. Not really. I mean, you could be the CEO of a record label and put all the money up, and the rappers with no money put up think that they got some say so with no equity. They think their raps is worth something, and them raps ain't worth nothing. Those raps ain't worth nothing until somebody manufacture them, record them, mix them, master them, and make them available to be sold. Other than that, it's just some scribble scrabble on some paper. But they think because they can rap, they think they that. Snoop cereal? No. What's the name of the company that make it? I think you don't understand what I'm saying. What's the name of the company that makes the cereal? Not the cereal. Any slave can have a cereal in General Mills and them will sell it. No, I'm not talking about this cereal. I'm talking about General Mills. Okay, you slow. All right. He don't know the difference between Fruit Loops and General Mills. Unbelievable. He don't know the difference between cornflakes and Kellogg's. You know what I'm saying? He think He think cornflakes is a company. He thinks Snoop Dogg cereal is a company. And Snoop Dogg cereal is not made by no black people. Unbelievable. That's one where they fool us. They'll give us a Nike deal to make it look like we doing something corporate because we got a sneaker. But we ain't the one make it. So this they give us a false illusion that we doing something because we let them make stuff for us and then put our name on it, and then we believe that we moved up. But if you're not manufacturing, if you are not recovering the natural resources, right? And then who controls the natural resources? A bunch of losers in Africa, right? So the Africans, right, is getting robbed, right? Right? Yeah, I meant a cereal company. A cereal company. But I get you got confused. That's good. I understand that. But I'm talking about companies. So yeah, that was a misunderstanding. I got you. But no, I mean a cereal company. I mean General Mills. Like that. Like a car company. Like General Motors, Ford. That's the stuff I'm talking. I'm not talking about the car. I'm talking about the company. So that's just a misunderstanding. I got you. No. No, Brothers Foods is just the name on the box. Okay, all right. All right, you still don't get it. I can't talk to you no more. You still don't get it. He thinks Brothers Foods is a manufacturer. Unbelievable. Go get a job at Brothers Foods. Where is that factory at? You know what I'm saying? So it's good to really honor Juneteenth. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. But Juneteenth represents the end of slavery. But what was the end of slavery the beginning of? Like, how long can you celebrate the end of slavery and not push for more? I never supported Evanston reparations. Local reparations is trash. So local reparations is just trash. In partnership with Post, which means Post is the factory, and all they is a name. They don't make nothing though. You still don't get it. I'm gonna have to stop talking to you because I don't really got time. I don't really got time. But for everybody else, because he's misposting fake information and not listening, Post Cereal is owned by Post Holdings. Okay? Post Cereal is owned by Post Holdings. Okay? And anybody that does business with them is just doing a licensing deal. They don't make nothing. Right? So if I do a deal with them and they put a cereal out for me, that's not manufacturing. that's still going to them for the manufacturing. Okay. And I'm talking about making it. I'm not talking about them putting your name on a shoe or on a box. I'm talking about you putting your own name on the box. So I really ain't got time. I don't got time. I don't got time for foolishness. You know what I'm saying? Back to this situation. I don't support no local reparations. Slavery was national and reparations would be national. And local reparations is a way to get robbed. So if they're gonna give you local reparations, they can give you some peanuts over here, some peanuts over here, some peanuts over there. Other blacks don't get nothing because it ain't in their area, and you ain't gonna get nothing. You ain't gonna get nothing. How you gonna let a country rob you nationally, but ask for reparations locally? The fact that they asking for reparations locally mean they stupid. That they shouldn't be representing the reparations movement because slavery was national. Slavery wasn't local. The clothes, the seeds, the fertilizer, the equipment for the farms, all that was national. So who let these fools start reparations local? They're not qualified to be speaking on reparations. I just had a brother living in Chicago. He asked me if I'm going to the Chicago reparations. Bruh, I really wish he would stop talking about reparations. You don't represent reparations. Anybody talking local reparations is a sellout, is slow, is uninformed, and don't have leadership qualities. There is nothing local about reparations. How could you have a reparations? Okay, let's take Alabama. How could you pay people in Alabama for reparations when slaves in Alabama were sold to Mississippi, sold to New Orleans, sold to Kentucky, sold to Tennessee? Make that make some sense. What? The cotton was shipped all over the world and all over the country. It ain't for no housing discrimination. It's to make it look like they did something. It's a scam. It's a scam. It's a scam. No, it's for housing, but they keep saying reparations, reparations. Then when they give it to us, okay, we took care of you. We gave them reparations. If it's housing discrimination, call that. Stop calling it reparations. Why are you trying to call it reparations? Anyway, I know some of y'all can't see what's going on. I get it. Okay? This is why they can run these games on us. Because there was no reparations in Evanston until we started asking for reparations nationally. Now all of a sudden, it's all these local reparations. If all these local reparations was due, why we never heard of them until we started asking for national reparations? That's the okie doke. Because when we put stuff together, we let the same scammers that be on the city council, the same scammers that have these little organizations, we let them be at the forefront of these situations. And then they'll be forever talking about these bullshit local reparations, but all they want to do is use the word reparations. So they misuse the word. If they misuse the word reparation, it'll give a sense that something's happening. But here you are sitting in New Jersey where your grandparents and great-great-grandparents stuff was slave for all their years, and they ain't going to give you nothing because they talking about reparations in Kansas City when all them blacks in Kansas City relatives were slaves in the South. What? So my mom and daddy come from Alabama. My people were slaves in Alabama, Mississippi. They come to Chicago. You want to give me some Chicago reparations? Really? Because I wasn't in slavery. So what are you talking about? Slavery wasn't in what? What do you mean Chicago reparations? What? They say, well, that's for discrimination. That discrimination was still tied to slavery. That discrimination, you can't separate that blacks come from the South and you've been treating them less than, and you treat them less than in the North. Where'd you get that from? You got that from the South. So how you going to act like you didn't treat us bad until we got to Chicago? And then what do? They raise a whole bunch of money. They get a committee together, like Chicago or whatever city, Evanston, will raise a bunch of money. They'll raise $5 million. They'll get a committee together and they'll give them the $5 million to study reparations. Every one of these committees is getting millions of dollars to study reparations. This why I don't be want to argue, because face to face with me, I'll be like, okay, how much you got in your bank account? Bet 1,000. That's why I know y'all like, well, why you be funky like that? Because the way I just taught on the streets, and if you want to argue with me, put up $1,000. Put up or shut the fuck up. Put up or shut up. And better give me my money when I prove I'm right. Because anybody will argue with you for free. But they ain't going to put up 1,000. So I got hip to that. Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. Bet 1,000. Bet 1,000. Because every one of these reparations movement in these cities, them people on that committee got lots of money already, and you ain't got nothing. They get paid. So yeah, they want to study reparations. They making money. They buying houses from reparation studies. Tell me I'm lying. They getting paid for studying reparations. Tax dollars too. They're taking money out the coffers of the citizens and giving it to some sellouts to pretend they studying reparations. But they really just getting a bag and just sitting around drinking coffee and playing. They ain't doing a goddamn thing in there. And they bogus because reparations is national, because slavery was national. Because if the United States government, I just showed you, made it illegal, that means it was legal in the whole United States, correct? All right, then the whole United States is liable. How the United States ain't liable? Juneteenth was recognized as a federal holiday. Federal. Does this say local? Does this say local? Does this say Chicago? Does this say Cleveland? I could swear this say federal. I see federal. Show me the word state, city, local. I see the word federal. I see federal. I don't see federal. I don't see federal. This ain't a federal situation. Because I can swear I see federal. I don't see state. I don't see the word state. I don't see the word state. I don't see Evanston. I don't see Los Angeles. I don't see the word California. I don't see California. I see federal. And what I see, it say federal. It say federal. So now you get fools, uneducated, people with no leadership qualities, sellouts that'll start taking this money for this state, that state, that state. That way nothing can get done. Oh, they having a study in Boston. Oh, they're having a study in Chicago. They're having a study in New York. They're having a study in San Francisco. They're having a study in LA. They're having a study here, a study there, a study there, a study there. And they getting paid for studying. Your tax dollars. They give them millions and millions of dollars to study state-to-state reparations when slavery was condoned federally. Because if you go kidnap somebody and go across state line, you gonna get a local charge? I'm just asking. If I grab a girl right now in Illinois and I take her to Indiana, am I gonna get state charges? Yes or no? Is that a state case? Yes or no? Put it in the chat. If I grab a girl in Illinois and take her to Kentucky or Indiana, is that a state case? Yes or no? Put it in the chat. Am I going to get state charges? Well, how is slavery state charges? It's a Fed case. So how is these black people fighting for us for state reparations when reparations is Fed? It's federal. It's federal. Coming up with all this stuff to call it reparations, so they're not a positive beat. Say, well, we already gave you reparations. Like use the word reparations, right? Oh, we give Chicagoans reparations for housing. But they're not interested in the word housing. They just want the word reparation. They can say, well, you already got reparations. And then we got all these smart motherfuckers going for that shit. That's why I don't be wanting to talk to people and shit like that. Because when I go in the grocery store and I see the food, I already know y'all stupid. Because none of that shit, all that artificial flavors, artificial colors, if they selling that to the American public, I already know Americans I already know y'all dumb as hell. I already know. Just by what they sell you, you's a sucker. So I don't be wanting to debate. You know, back in the day before the internet, when brothers used to want to debate me and we at your crib, I would go in their refrigerator. Like, I got to see if you qualify. Oh, is that Lucky Charms? Is that Fruit Loops? All right, you ain't on my level. Yeah, no. Your ass is a Trix rabbit. Silly rabbit. Trix is for motherfucking kids. You know what I'm saying? It's Big Fat Bro. I don't even want to talk to you. You don't even know what you're putting in your mouth. So why would I listen what come out of your mouth? Like, you got to have your whole game together. Or I'm not listening. But yeah, reparations is federal. Check this out, and then we'll continue this conversation. Let's get that part straight first on where the money at.
This is 13 corporations that profited from slavery. So here we go. Number 1, J.P. Morgan Chase. Between 1831 and 1865, 2 predecessor banks, Citizens Bank and Canal Bank in Louisiana, accepted approximately 13,000 enslaved individuals as collateral on loans and took ownership of approximately 1,250 of them when the plantation owners defaulted on the loans. Number 2, New York Life, an insurance company, sold insurance policies on enslaved Africans. Number 3, Wachovia. 2 historical predecessors owned enslaved Africans and accepted them as payment. Number 4, N.M. Rothschild and Sons Bank in London. Nathan Mayer Rothschild, the banking family's 19th century patriarch, made personal gains by using enslaved Africans as collateral.
Now I'll play this later. You get the point. I'm gonna play it later, and she's gonna name all the companies. None of that is local. None of that is local. None of that is local. And so where is the national reparations movement? Because the national reparations movement should be fighting against local reparations movement, making it harder for us to get the overall pay, making it so they can say, well, what about that? We paid them that. We gotta take that out of the other reparations. You're making a mess out of it, and you're giving them a break. And you know why? Because you're not unified nationally. You're not even unified locally, but you're damn sure ain't unified nationally. The only time the black man is unified nationally is when he's watching the National Basketball Association or the National Football League or the National Baseball Association, league. That's the only time he nationals, when he watching sports. Other than that, he ain't got a national bone in his goddamn body. The black man is a damn disgrace to his race. The black man in America is a disgrace to his race, especially them religious ones. Them religious ones and them historical ones and them conscious ones, they're the worst. Because they just like to talk a bunch of jargon. They don't never roll up their sleeves and do a damn thing. That's why I don't function with that. Because I know people like, well, dang, bro, you be talking about the streets and stuff. I don't function with no black consciousness. Because how you conscious when all you black conscious dudes got a different type of consciousness and y'all can't sit down and come up with one consciousness? Especially God. Y'all got all these weirdo ass gods. It's a God, it's a God. And so I don't know why you trying to separate Jehovah from Allah and all of that. Nigga, it's God. Let's move on. You know what I'm saying? But you want to take your religion and make your religion a thing when you know your religion is some bullshit and it represent division and you ain't never talked to that damn God you keep worshiping. Now I come to your house, and if that God don't say nothing, I'm done with it. Because the God ain't never don't talk. I ain't never heard God say nothing. So all God religious stuff is hearsay in court. I mean, back in the Bible, they had to prove it was God, make the sun stand still or something. Now you got all these weirdo gods. And all you do is a nut, you use them for separation amongst your people. You don't use it for nothing positive. Then you got all these different religious beliefs. Then you got different gangs. Then you represent different parts of the country. You got the black man got all these different reasons to be separate. You are more. You constantly telling people they not black instead of sitting your stupid ass down somewhere and let's get something done. Don't nobody want to hear that shit, bruh. The Moors say we not black, they don't identify being black, and they ain't got shit. So what is not being identifying being black done for the Moors? They don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. They a bunch of nobodies. They got no type of economical development, no type of nothing. What they got? Nothing. The Moors ain't got shit. The Nation of Islam ain't got shit. The black Christians ain't got nothing. And none of y'all religions got a damn thing. None of them belief systems got nothing. Pan-Africans ain't got shit. What they got? Who hiring? Who got food? Who got stores? Who's national? Who's nationals? There's black Muslims all over this country. Where's their national business? What national business they got? They ain't been on nothing since Elijah Muhammad. A whole bunch of hooting and hollering. No, I ain't seen it. That's off subject anyway. No, I ain't seen it. I just had to remove myself from that a little bit. I'll go check it out eventually. I'm not really paying a whole bunch of attention to the Carmelo Anthony situation too much. Because you get to a point where it's just a bunch of talk. You know what I'm saying? It get to a point it's a bunch of talk and getting people upset, but you ain't gonna do nothing. So it's like when I see some real results or something, I'll speak on it. But where it's at right now, it's the same thing. Foundational Black Americans, or a lot of blacks don't even identify that. So I don't know what to call y'all because you got so many black men. You know what I'm saying? And so far as us like getting unified on Carmelo, but divided on everything else, that's some bitch shit. You know, you got a brother got to get unalived or hurt or locked up unfairly, then you unify. But when it come to doing some type of business or having some type of identity, you not unified. So the same brother that want to disrespect FBA want to unify with me over Carmelo. See, I ain't really with all them games. Y'all unified or you're not. You want to stand on this reparation? You want to stand on some type of identity? Because I'm not trying to unify between Carmelo's situation. That's why we never go nowhere, because we always unify over some bullshit like that. I hate what happened to the young brother, but that why we always got to use stuff like that to build. And then as soon as that over, you back a bunch of goofy ass losers separate. I don't got time for that fake outrage and this fake ass outrage. But people using that young man for attention, for views and likes and shit. Y'all know these content creators don't care nothing about that boy. They using that boy because they getting likes and views. It's one brother, he talk about him every day, all day. And he only doing it for views. It's really disgusting. Trying to talk all concerned. This just won't make no sense, y'all. All for clicks and views to run them commercials and make that money. Y'all will not see me pimp no situation on YouTube for no money. I could have did 100 videos on them and made me what? 50,000, 30,000, I could have pimped them. I could have played on y'all's emotions and shit. But I never liked that situation because I feel like a lot of people may put his life more in danger than anything with all this. And he the one locked up with the beast. You out here yapping. But you ain't the one they gonna take to the back room and do something to. He the one. So I ain't really, a lot of people wasn't saying nothing that benefit that brother anyway. Right? Know what I'm saying? A lot of that stuff ain't beneficial to the brother, you know what I'm saying? To me. And like it was putting him in more danger than anything. Like shut up, get some money together, and get him out of there. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all got a big old clown out here y'all all like, and he get out there saying all kind of crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? And black men put this bozo up, and this one-eyed bozo is a representative for black people. I don't never say his name. And so the black man's a B word anyway to even let this dude be like any type of representative for black people, some one-eyed clown that's always trolling their own people and shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't really like black men on the internet. You know what I'm saying? I want y'all to come outside. That's a whole nother story. Come on outside with that clown shit. Stop hiding on the internet. And let's see who really owns something. You and your one-eyed leader. Come outside. Stop paying nanny boo-boo, peekaboo and shit. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even want to talk about that because, you know, y'all didn't let it, y'all ain't checking, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, oh, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to talk about the black men that support that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because we live at a time where we got black men for social media. If you say something like get reparations, they're going to go and say, we don't need no reparations. Like we got that type of stuff going on. We got that type of stuff where they'll say the opposite on what the community want for views. For real. That's what we got going on. Juneteenth gonna go by, and everybody gonna mention it no more. So let's look at the facts. The legal institution of human chattel slavery, comprising the enslavement primarily of Africans and African Americans, was prevalent in the United States of America from the founding in 1776 until 1865. So they are at least admitting that not everybody in slavery was from Africa. There was different types of blacks that was in slavery because they say of Africans and African Americans. I don't know why they call them African Americans because they might not have even been from Africa or whatever. Predominantly in the South, slavery was found throughout European colonization in the Americas. From 1526, during the early colonial period, it was practiced in what became Britain's colonies, including the 13 colonies that formed the United States. Under the law, children were born into slavery, and enslaved persons was treated as property that could be bought, sold, or given away. Slavery persisted in about half the United States until the abolition in 1865. And issues involving slavery seeped into every aspect of national politics, economics, and social customs. In the decades after Reconstruction ended in 1877, many of slavery's economic and social functions continued through segregation, sharecropping, and convict leasing, and voluntary servitude as a punishment for crime remains legal. I mean, the penitentiary is still the same thing. That's what I'm saying. All they did was change it. Once you got rights, then they said, okay, prisoners ain't got no rights. And they just sent out the slave catchers to put you in prison, starve you out, put you in a criminal situation, and put you in prison. Just that simple. Starve you out and put you in a criminal situation. And made movies about it. Show you straight in your face how it's done. They showed black people straight in their face how they could change your circumstances and change your behavior. Where? Go back and watch this. Go watch it again. Watch it close. These rich white dudes, they took Dan Aykroyd and they made him poor and threw him out to the streets where he couldn't get no apartments, he couldn't do nothing. Then they went to the streets and got Eddie Murphy and bought him in the company and made him rich. And Eddie Murphy's behavior changed to a decent, upright citizen, and Dan Aykroyd became a scumbag. Go look at it. They showed you the whole social construct right there. They showed you why the crime is in the black community. Like, go watch it. They showed you clear, right in front of everybody's face. That's why they do not promote this movie. Dan Aykroyd became a criminal and everything. And Eddie Murphy became a 100% decent citizen. Facts. This is what's happening to the black community right now. What happened to Dan Aykroyd? You're intentionally put into a criminal situation. You're intentionally put, like they'll put you as 1 million people, but only have 750,000 jobs. So I mean 250,000. You ain't gonna have no job. If you go look back in the United States and you look at the Great Depression, right? What happened? John Dillinger, Bonnie and Clyde, all right? Bank robberies, whites. Now go back and look at the living conditions of white America doing Bonnie and Clyde. Because when they ended slavery, what they don't tell you is when they ended slavery, and they had all them blacks come to the North, then only the whites that had enough money to afford the new machinery prospered. All the other whites went broke. The whites that prospered, the banks started to take them whites' land. When the banks began to take their land, right? Right? When the banks began to take their land, they didn't want to give the land up. So the banks up north started sending who? They used to have forts and who was at the forts, the cavalry. So they would send the banker to the cavalry, and he would go down there with military. When he come down there with military to the South to confiscate the land, the whites in the South got together to fight, and that was the Civil War started. The Civil War started over the North trying to confiscate that land from them in the South after they took the slaves and let the slaves leave. When the slaves left, the only way you could compete was with money. You had to afford a cotton gin. You had to afford a tractor. You couldn't use a horse and plow no more and compete, because certain slave owners had like 2,000 slaves, 1,000 slaves. Other slave owners only had 50. So they wasn't never competing anyway. So every year they was in debt. Every year they was in debt with the North. They was in debt with who they buy their feed from. They was in debt on who they got their horses and cows from. They was in debt with their property. So the end of slavery was the beginning of industrialized farming. That's what that was. I was going to Alabama as a kid during the transition, and you could see it slowly transitioning, where when I would be on my grandfather's farm, you could see certain people had crop dusters. My granddaddy didn't have no crop duster, right? That means that man had more money. Some people had those big old things that shoot the water for acres. My granddaddy didn't have that. Some people began to have more plows and tractors and stuff. Others still was using mules and had one tractor. You think a man with one tractor could keep up with a man with 5 or 10? And they end up taking my granddaddy's farm, making him leave, because he was on and it was a white man's farm. And the white man promised my daddy when he passed, he can have it. But then after long, the man's brother kicked my granddaddy out. That's when I never went back down south no more. I was a kid. I didn't never go back. I was like high school, like a freshman. My mother, I think she knew, because she never made me go back. I think my mother knew, that one. I went one time, and my granddad, they had him in some public house, and I think my mother picked up my vibe, so she never made me go back. I ain't never go back. I ain't never been to Alabama since then. I used to be sitting in the bathroom and thinking, I'm gonna go down there, and you know what, to the white man that took my granddaddy's farm. Yeah, that was early 70s. So I never wanted to go back. My freshman year was 1972. I graduated in 76. Thank you. Yeah, 76 when I graduated. So you started in 72, then that year ended 73. Then you started 73, that year ended 74. Then you started 75, that year ended. So yeah, maybe 71. You started 71, that ends in 72. You started first sophomore year in 72, that ends in 73. You started your junior year in 73, that ends in 74. No, I was right. 72 to 73, 73 to 74, 74 to 75, and 75 to 76, 72. But That's how that's you know what I'm saying. All of that, they owe us reparations for all of that. What a lot of people don't know is a lot of your elders that was born in the 50s was directly affected from slavery and directly seen how reparation was on. I'm one of the people that seen them rob black people. After my generation, nobody seen it. I'm the last ones to see it. I'm the last one to see it. And I'm the last generation to be around people that seen slavery directly. I'm the last generation to see that. After me, everybody else just gonna be talking. Because I'm the last one to see it. That's a fact too. I'm the last one to see the people that was right there in slavery. You can't see this no more. Because we used to go down there and stay with my mother's grandmother, my great grandmother. And you could see she was born in 1876. Right? So you could see she was a little girl. You feel me? So I ain't just making stuff up. You know what I mean? (1865). She born 1876. So my great grandmother, who I used to go hang out with, was born 11 years after slavery was ended. So her mother and father were slaves. You understand? And this a woman I used to stay at her house. So for all you young people that think slavery was a long, long time ago, no, it wasn't. No, no, no. My mother and father is the third generation out of slavery. That's a fact. This is the first generation out of slavery. My mother's grandmother, my great grandmother, my great great grandmother, and great great grandfather on both sides was slaves. Facts. And if you went to Alabama in the 60s, you seen slavery everywhere. Yeah, yep. And she was in slavery. It wasn't none of that. It wasn't none of that what people be saying about blacks and shit like that. You think they ain't gonna make you pick that cotton? Shit. Y'all stop listening to these people. Don't know what the fuck they be talking about. You think they didn't make them Native Americans pick cotton? Whatever. Stop, y'all. That's what I tell y'all. You listening? Most of these people be talking to y'all. How old are they? 40? Because if you ain't 65 to 75, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. I wouldn't even talk to you. First, for you to debate me, well, let me see, how old are you? Are you a little boy? Shut the fuck up. What, you 45? What year you was born? Boy, shut the fuck up. You don't even know about the 50s. You don't know shit. Because you don't know nothing until 10 years after you born. So you don't even know nothing. Like, I'm born 1958. I don't know a goddamn thing about 1958. You see what I'm trying to teach y'all? I'm born in 1958. I don't know nothing until 1968 when I'm 10. I don't know nothing about 1958. I'm a baby. I got no comprehension skills. You're not outside. And when you outside, what, you on a tricycle? You don't even remember being outside. You don't really begin to know nothing until you can get on that bike without no training wheels on it. Am I lying? The only thing you can remember is what was happening inside the house. You might remember, your mama putting bananas in your cereal or something, but you don't know nothing about the world and outside until you get on a bike. Am I lying? That's our first freedom, is when we get on the bike and the training wheels come off. Because when we little, when the news be on, you remember when you was a little baby, 5 years old, the news just sound like background noise. Right? Am I lying? When you little, when the news come on, it just sound like background noise, right? You don't know what the hell they talking about. Like, it's just a man on there talking. Your mom and daddy know what they talking about, but you don't know what they talking about. You don't know nothing until 10 years after you born. And then you're able to see the remnants of like that generation a little bit older than you, but you can't see the remnants of the next generation. So when I was going to Alabama at 10, from between, 10, 11, 12, I was able to see the remnants of my mama's and daddy's generation. I was able to see that. But the tail end of it kind of, you know what I'm saying? But it was still, because it was the South, it wasn't developing quick, so you could see slavery down there. And you know what I'm saying? The vibe, you know what I mean? Like if you ain't been to Alabama, you ain't been to Louisiana, Mississippi and stuff like that in the early 60s, man, you just don't know. The vibe was black, stay in the black spot. Don't go in the white spots, and get your ass off the highway before 6 o'clock, preferably before 5 o'clock. Typically around 4 o'clock. Hey, this is what's crazy. When we used to go down south, we would go halfway. We would either stay at Louisville, Kentucky or Nashville, Tennessee. And almost every time when we would check into Holiday Inn, there would be black families checking in. I never paid it no attention because I'm a kid. I didn't know what was going on till now that I'm older and I'm studying, researching. So every time we would meet little boys, little girls, other black families, talk to them, and we would play up and down the hallway. It wasn't until now I started studying about sundown towns and realized the reason, guess why we was always meeting black people at Holiday Inn? Because all the blacks had to get off the highway. Let that sink in. I never knew. Think about that. Why every time We would pull into a Holiday Inn. There would be blacks unloading because that's the time that blacks had discussed to get off the highway. They was getting off the highway around 4 o'clock. Tell me that's not deep. And I remember being in a hotel room, and I remember my mama had a gun, my grandmama had a gun, my daddy had a gun. I seen my grandmama gun because they had went in some gas station or something. I said, Granny, can I get some gum? She said, it's in my purse. And I opened her purse. She had a big old pistol in there. I seen my daddy's gun at the hotel. I seen him coming, sticking under his pillow. And I seen my mother's gun a different day. She stuck it under her pillow. So they was packing. And we never was on the highway past 4 o'clock. And we was always to my granddaddy's farm in the daylight, early in the day, like 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the evening, we would be in Uniontown, Alabama. And after we visited my mama's daddy, then when we get ready to go to Birmingham, we would always get there early in the day. We never arrived nowhere at night or in the evening. It was always midday. And then when we go see my daddy's people in Decatur, Alabama, the same thing, midday. We was never on the highway after 4 o'clock, 4:30. That was like my childhood growing up. And I remember being on my granddaddy's farm, and I remember the sheriffs or somebody pulling up. And it's like, when you get to the road, it's a long road, then it's his farmhouse. And I remember them pulling up and blowing the horn, dud, dud. And I remember my granddaddy coming on the porch with his rifle. And it's the police. It's like the police. It's like the sheriffs or something. I'm a little boy, though, but I still remember. And my granddaddy like, oh, what? And they're like, hey, Sammy, can we come in? And I remember my granddaddy saying, come on. You know what I'm saying? And they pulled up. And there was a black dude in the back. And I forgot what relationship he was to my mother, but he was Sugar Man. My mom always talked about Sugar Man. He was a bootlegger. He was a famous bootlegger around Uniontown, Alabama. So he's a bootlegger. So he was in jail. So the white sheriff brought Sugar Man to see his family. I don't remember what he looked like, though, because I'm a kid. But he was always in them hills making moonshine. And they bought him from prison or jail. I don't know where he was stored at. Back then, they might have kept you in the jail. And they would bring him, they brought him in the police car. But the police did not pull on that property because I don't think the blacks let you come if you was white until you identified you came in peace. Because you got to understand, the police would be racist too, and Ku Klux Klan too. And that's very interesting. That police officer did not pull on that. He did not turn off of that main road. He pulled up Crossway and blew and asked my granddaddy, could he approach? And I remember my granddaddy standing on the porch with the gun and told the police to come. And when the police came and let him out, my granddaddy still had that rifle. That's crazy, ain't it? So a lot of that stuff I ain't processed till I got older and started studying. I was like, granddaddy wasn't going. A lot of that stuff I couldn't process. But I was actually there doing all that. And I got some pictures of my grandfather on my mother's side. I need to show them. You live in Roanoke, past cotton fields every day. Alabama still got cotton fields as far as eyes can see right now, I'm sure, because they didn't switch to industrial now. They got the industrial planes. They got them big things that shoot the water. I remember when they first started installing them, and it'd be them big things that be shooting water out everywhere. They got like a big trough that go down, and then the hoses for them things, I think, is hooked to these troughs, and the water's coming down from the water tank, and they got that big thing shooting out, shooting acres and acres of land being shot. So everything about slavery was still very much there in the 60s. And so when you get to talking about reparations and Juneteenth, it's just a shame that we're not fighting for our reparations like that. You know what I'm saying? Some of these black, especially these black men that ain't fighting for reparations is cowards. How you let somebody mistreat your ancestors like that at a time where they couldn't stand up for themselves, and you get to the point where you can stand up for them and you don't. You don't. You sell out your ancestors and think you a man. And you ain't no man. You ain't no man like the Japanese man. He stood up for his people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You ain't no man like the Native American man. He stood up for what happened to him, and it happened at the same time something happened to you. But the black man, your punk ass, you ain't standing up for your race. That's why nobody don't respect the black people. Because the black man is a punk. He really is. He's only good at beefing with other black people. That's all he good for, is going against his own people. But when it's about standing up to anybody else, he's a punk. He's a straight punk. That's what I got to say on Juneteenth. You a damn disgrace. How is it that Native Americans were able to get reservations for themselves? Yet the 5 Native American tribes sold the rest of the Native Americans out. That's how. They sold their people out. And some of them is white, pretending they Native Americans. All of them ain't Native Americans, them white people. They was the one that marched the Native Americans and the blacks, because those Native Americans had slaves, And when the white man made their move, they took their slaves with them. So, the Trail of Tears, black slaves walked the Trail of Tears with the Native Americans. Look, yes, certain Native American tribes did own black slaves. This practice was most prevalent among the tribes of the American Southeast and Indian Territory, modern-day Oklahoma, specifically the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, and the Muskogee, and the Seminoles. They was rats. While some of the Native Americans practiced traditional forms of captivity before European contact, the adoption of hereditary chattel slave of black people was a direct result of European influence and forced assimilation. Wealthy Native American farmers and plantation owners used enslaved labor to produce cotton and surplus. The 5 tribes. The scale of enslavement varied greatly depending on the tribe. The 5 tribes together, these tribes held approximately 10,000 black slaves by the outbreak of the Civil War. The Cherokee had 4,600 on my soul. You got to understand, they was helping whites beat Native Americans. You got to understand, Native Americans was selling whites out, selling other Native Americans out. Okay, I'm gonna save this for later. You got to understand that Native Americans was selling out Native Americans because I keep telling you, they not really Native Americans. They're not a group. They didn't know each other. Some of them was, they had traveled from different places. So some of them was like Aztecs, some of them was Incas, some of them was Mayans, some of them was like what you would call Eskimos. They wasn't no group. They wasn't even the same culture. They didn't have the same skin tone or nothing. Some of them would be a lightish beige like an Asian. Some of them would be a dark red. Some of them would be a brownish red. They wasn't no group of people. That's why they called them tribes. But they have the young people thinking they just Indians. No. They not the same people. And certain ones didn't even like the other ones. So you know they didn't like us. They wasn't our friends like that. The only ones was our friends was the Seminoles and the Sioux. We was cool with the Sioux. We was cool with the Seminoles. We was cool with the Blackfoot and the black ones. We was cool with a lot of the black ones. But them yellow ones, they was sellouts. Them light tan ones and stuff, they was sellout. They was selling out their own. They was selling out other indigenous nomadic people, because that's really what they really were. They were indigenous nomadic people. They wasn't from the same place. They were traveling people. A lot of them were refugees from the Spanish invading South and Central America. So a lot of them was refugee Incas, Mayans, and Aztecs that ran north, right? Because what? Slavery, what? They came across the Spanish, right? They stopped in the Caribbean, right? Then they went to South America to steal. When they come back and they stop in the Caribbean, a lot of people had passed away because they caught the common cold from the Spaniards. So when the Spaniards first was going that way and they stopped in the Virgin Islands, Jamaica, they made all the people sick, right? So now when they went to South America, came back, a lot of the people had passed away. So they started going stealing Africans, bringing the Africans back to the Caribbean to grow the sugarcane. That's way before they started bringing them up here. This process started in the Caribbean with the Spanish. Facts, this is the real history of slavery, to replace the people that passed away from the common cold, because people in the West didn't have the common cold. The Europeans had the common cold. They were conquistadors? No, they were pirates. They were pirates. Then the conquistadors came. The first one was pirates. See, Bob Marley say, oh, pirates, yes, they ride by, sold to the merchant ships. Minute after they took I to the bottomless pit. They was pirates. The conquistadors is later. These was pirates going from place to place stealing. See, pirate ships used to be like 3 or 4 or 5 of them because there's other pirates out there and they got to fight against each other. So if you a Spanish pirate fleet, you got to look out for the Portuguese pirate fleet. So these was pirates. They stopped in the Caribbean. They didn't do no damage because they was on their way because they heard it was sugar in South America. So now they going to get the sugar. But when they got to South America, it was all other kind of stuff. Right? So now when they come back, they notice all the people had died from the common cold. A lot of native people in Chicago in the United States died from the common cold. Wiped out a lot of. That's one reason it was so easy to wipe everybody out, because they was putting measles and chicken pox on cloth and getting it to people. They didn't beat everybody. Listen, the Europeans did not beat everybody. He's no great conqueror. He beat everybody because he gave them diseases. He gave them blankets with chicken pox. He gave them blankets with the measles. A lot of people just passed away. Then he would sell this side guns that don't shoot, sell the other side guns that halfway shoot, let them go to war. And when these different Native American tribes, right after they get to going to war and they tired, then the white pirates would invade them. Then they sent word back, we got land over here, we taking it. So they start sending people, and they start sending the British. And then when the British came and helped them, the British wanted to take it. And then they was like, no. And then that was the Revolutionary War. That was the war where they fought against the British. But the British was here helping them conquer the other people. Then when they conquered the people, then, now they went to fighting over the people they conquered. But it started out with just pirates. But it started in the Caribbean first. And then they went to South America and came back. And then all the people had a cold and was passing away. So now they can't grow sugar cane in Europe, it's too cold. So they say, this is a shorter trip. It's a shorter trip from Europe to the Caribbean instead of all the way to South America and Central America. So they said, let's grow the sugar cane here. But all the people had been sick. So they like, who gonna grow it? So they start, when they go to get their next shipment, they pick up slaves. You gotta understand, when they had slave ships, slaves wasn't the only thing on the ship. The slaves was in the bottom rowing. The product was up top and like shelves on the bottom, because the original slavery was rowing. They don't tell you none of this. Pharaoh got to tell you all this. The original slavery, the main slavery, was capturing people to row ships. Like you was the horsepower, was the engine to row the ship. They was doing it with whites, anybody. They used to go around and any whites would sell whites. Like if a white man didn't like this other white man, he would sell them. Yeah, he would sell them to the galley slaves, yeah. And then make you row until you almost can't, till you pass away almost. If you want to know more about that history, I'm going to show you what to watch. This is what you watch if you want to know. If you want to know more about that history, go watch this. You should watch this anyway. You should watch this anyway. Hold on, let me find it. This will give you a better idea of history. What the heck is it? This will give you a better idea of history. Go watch The Last Kingdom. Because you ain't going to know no black history if you don't know white history. So it ain't going to do you no good to watch. You ain't going to know nothing about slavery by watching black history. Go watch The Last Kingdom. Watch the whole series. Because the only way you can understand slavery, you got to study the enslavers and how they, right? And if you watch The Last Kingdom, it's going to help you a whole lot. Because it's going to show you that it wasn't really personal. It wasn't personal. This is what they was doing to each other. They didn't do nothing different to you than they did to each other. The only thing made it worse for you is you had the type of skin that could take the sun. That's it. If it wasn't for the fact you was black and you could work in the sun like that and they couldn't because sunburn really messed them up, that's the only difference. And the only reason they started teaching that you was less than because the church wouldn't let them enslave you unless they was able to make the church change their doctrine because it went against their religion to mistreat a man because they didn't do racism. They didn't do racism in Europe. Racism was created. They didn't do racism. They didn't do black and white. If a British, he didn't like no German because you white. F you a German. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no white. No, hell no. So you got to go watch The Last Kingdom to understand that. When you watch I tell anybody, if you have any type of like hang-ups about slavery and how Europeans treat you, this is going to help you tremendously. When you see how they was doing each other, it's going to all make sense. This is the only way you could really understand. This is the best way to understand slavery. I'm going to tell you straight up. I'm going to tell you straight. You watch this, your whole concept on slavery, your whole concept on white people is going to change. It's going to take all of the personal vibe out of it. You will not look at it personally ever again. And make your children watch it. The Last Kingdom. I would tell anybody that before you just even study slavery, watch The Last Kingdom. Sit back, find where it's at. Brothers, sit back with your queen, get some popcorn with some sea salt, not that regular salt, no butter, right? Get you some natural drink, kick back with your queen, and start with one and be patient, right? So when you watch part one, series one, part one, right? Season one, part two. By the time you get to part four of season one, man, let me tell you, you're gonna be tripping. And to me, if if foundational Black Americans don't watch this, you're gonna be lost. You really ain't gonna never know what happened. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real. Once I watched that, then I really knew what happened. I can honestly say I really didn't know what was going on until I watched this. And when I watched this, I was like, oh, because they was on that before they even got around us. They was on that. Okay. They was on, and they did not do race. So if you was Black from anywhere in the world and you fought with him and they make you a knight, you was one of them. Period. Some of them might still act funny, but officially in that government, you one of them. Because they didn't really do color, they did like tribes. So it wouldn't be the fact you Black, it'd be the fact you from a different tribe. Because if you was if you Black from a different tribe and you white from a different tribe, they consider y'all the same. They don't consider you more of an enemy than the white one. All they know is y'all ain't them. They didn't do skin color. They didn't do color. They didn't do race. They did tribes. Where you from? You Spain, you England, you France. That's what they did. They didn't do color. Color came a long time after. All color meant to them was you from somewhere else. That's it. But if you've been there fighting with them, they don't pay no attention where you from. You one of them. So he wasn't one of them, but he ended up fighting with them. So he became one of them. He wasn't he wasn't British. You understand? But once he fought with them, he became the man. Yeah. It's real interesting. Real historical interest. It'll tell you everything. And so with us, it was never race. It was always economical. That's why reparations is a must. Our situation with them was always economical. It was not racial. And the racism was used to help the whites mistreat us. So in order to get a white man to beat us and all that, they had to tell them we was less than. But it was all for economics. It was all a lie. And the majority of us was from East Africa, not from West Africa. And we had the best cotton. Facts. Because still today, the best cotton in the world is Egyptian cotton. Out of you foundational Black Americans, at least 65% of you are Egyptians. Facts. The Moors don't know what the fuck they talk about because the Moors were Egyptians that rebelled against the leader. The Moors was Egyptians that rebelled against Hannibal. That's who they is, traitors, rats. Because their leader wanted to sleep with Hannibal's daughter. And that's when they separated. The Moors don't know nothing about their own culture. They separated because their leader couldn't sleep with Hannibal's daughter. So they left Hannibal and he had to go conquer Italy without them. And then they went up there and taught the Europeans how to have bathrooms, make showers, all of that, and do that. And then another group came down and conquered them Europeans and cut all the Moors' testicles and stuff off and made slaves out of them. Made them eunuchs. They like to leave that part out. They like to leave that part out. You know what I'm saying? For some reason. For some reason. They like to leave that part out. But they castrated the Moors up there. You know? They was under, I think, what is the Ottoman Empire for a long time. For a long time, they was under that. You know, I don't know why they tell every history but that. Why they don't talk about dude when they cut his testicles off? They always talk about their conquest before the Ottoman Empire conquered them. But if you go watch movies of Europe, you always see Moor slaves. You always see them serving the kings and stuff, running around the palace. You always see the black ones pouring the king water and stuff. That's the Moors. Because the Moors sold their own people into slavery. We was in slavery for 700 years because of the black Moors. That's why they started calling them dirty Moors. See, this brother didn't have no testicles. Sure didn't. They don't like to talk about that. That's why they still hate us. You notice the Moors got like a hating type vibe. They don't really have a positive vibe. They like some haters. I don't know what that's about. But that's their vibration. Their vibration is some haters. Oh my soul. That's their history. Haters. Yeah, Sunrise. Yeah. Sunrise said they told him that in Egypt. And Sunrise said he went to Egypt. The Egyptians told us that 80% of black Americans is from Egypt. And when he went to South America, the Mexican embassies and them told him that 80% of black Americans are from Kemet. My daughter did her DNA. It came back Ethiopian and Egyptian. Her and her mom, now they want me to go do mine. I already know mine going to come back. See the Moors on both ends? It was like that because of there was a bunch of weirdo stuff was happening in Africa with different blacks. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they first branched off because they wouldn't go to war with Hannibal. Because dude wanted his daughter and he couldn't have her. So Hannibal had to go up there and fight Italy by himself. They was a part of that army. That's when they first broke off. They don't ever talk about that. So then they was up in Europe, but that's how he ended up on the ship with Christopher Columbus. The one that said land, that saw the land that was in the crow's nest, right? He was a Moor. He really the one discovered the United States. Christopher Columbus was in the brig. Christopher Columbus was locked up in the bottom of the ship. The brother, the Moorish brother, the one that saw the land. Because they was just out there floating. They didn't know where they was going. They thought when they landed, they thought they was in the Caribbean too. They thought they was in the Caribbean. They didn't even know they didn't know where they was at. But it was a brother that saw it. It was a brother that was helping them sail. It was a brother that was helping them sail. Because they had locked Christopher Columbus up because they was like, you just got us out here. We're going to fall off the edge of the earth. Because you understand, the Europeans thought the earth was flat. So they was terrified. You know what I'm saying? No, because no, not like that. Because it's like no Moors where they all was the same. So there's no Moors where like all of them is the same. So that group of Moors that went up there don't represent all the Moors. You understand? So I'm glad you said that so I can get that straight. So when a group of Moors fall out with Hannibal and go up there, that's not all the Moors. That's that group. That's why Moors be saying people be generalizing them and they right. There was too many Moors for them all to go up there. So there's other Moors that didn't have nothing to do with that. Because all the Moors didn't even live in the same area. These might live in Morocco. These might live in Libya. So I'm saying, so if the ones from Libya do something, that don't mean the ones from Morocco went. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of Moors. But what's funny about the Moors is Moor mean black. They was blacker Moors. So all that they ain't black, you know, them brothers need to study. Moor mean black. Blacker Moors. They was black. They was black. They talking about they not black. You know why they say they're not black? Because a lot of these Moors ain't even Moors. Some of them is like mixed blood, black and European and Spanish and everything. Like they be a Moor, you know, from South from the Caribbean or something. Bro, you ain't really no more bloodline. You Spanish and black. You know, you see these brothers trying to say they Moors, and they can't even really prove what they really are in real life. Like, bro, let's take your DNA. You ain't even got you might not even have a lot of blood from over there. Real talk, I just be being nice. But I be seeing brothers call themselves Moors. They all high yellow looking and shit. You know what I'm saying? I be looking at them crazy. That's why we spacemen. You could look at me and see I'm black and red and all of that. You know, the idea is that generation after generation been sleeping with each other, and you know everybody in your family who slept with everybody is the dumbest shit in the world. So you telling me that every man that got a woman pregnant, all the way up to me, I know who all them men and them women is. Y'all believe y'all know who, because you come down that male lineage. Y'all believe y'all know who all the males in your lineage slept with? Y'all know them women, what them women was? I'm just asking. Because I come down through a male lineage. A man had to have a man like go down like that. A man had to be born. I know who everybody slept with, who, all the way back. I know the lineage of every coochie that's I come through. Who believe that? Because you probably don't even know who your great-great-great-great-granddaddy slept with. You don't even know him. So how you just making these blank claims? I say, okay, who's your great-great-great-great-great-great-granddaddy? You don't know. Thank you. You don't know. And the way life coming, a man could sleep with you, turn you a little darker. Then have a baby, he could sleep with somebody, and that baby come a little lighter. Then that light baby could sleep with somebody kind of red, and the next baby turn a little redder. And then that red baby could sleep with a jet black dude, and now they baby's a little browner. So your color could go like this depending on who slept with who. I'm just saying. Like my kids, like my oldest daughter, her mama was jet black. I had her, she the darkest in the family. All my kids' mamas was different shades, so my kids is the right, all kind of colors. Duh. Now you telling me I know where all they mamas' genealogy go? Really? So I know everybody in my daddy where they from, and I know everybody from my mama. When I barely know who my great-great-grandparents is. So you know who your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents is? No, you don't. Okay, stop it. Let's take a break, and we'll finish the conversation. We definitely pushing reparations all the way. Reparations for foundational Black Americans is not a joke. So yeah, reparations need to be pushed. It's not being pushed as hard as it can be, but it's definitely Juneteenth. This weekend is probably going to be a lot of Juneteenth. Much respect to everybody down there in Texas. Texas is holding it down. Texas is ground zero for Juneteenth. We really appreciate that from the state of Texas. Black people in Texas have always been extremely strong. They some of the coolest Black people in the country. By Chicago being the headquarters, we know what every one of y'all is about. And everywhere you go, foundational Black Americans is standing on something. There's always a little difference in every city, but there is no weak Black people in the United States, in no cities. So say Chicago. There ain't nobody weak. That's coming from the rack. We don't got no weak group in Chicago, nowhere. That's a fact. We don't got no weak groups. We don't got no group that's better. We don't got no group that's weaker. What we do is got areas where it's more of us. So we got areas that got huge populations. We got that. We got the Chicagos, we got the Houstons, like that. We got the New York. We got a place where it's a whole lot of us, but we don't got better and worse and all that. The reality about foundational Black Americans is because we don't have a good trace on our lineage, brothers is around here shooting their cousins and don't even know it. I know a brother in Chicago, he got unalived, and they had the funeral. And so when they get to the funeral, one of the brothers, he see his cousin and his auntie and them. He said, "What y'all doing there?" And they like, "Junior is so-and-so." Now, his family, on his side, one of them the one that shot him. And so he said, it took him 2 weeks to stop crying. And this was strong, brother. He don't be crying. He said, "It took me 2 weeks. It took me 2 weeks." Now we know, no, the United Nations don't owe us reparations. The United States of America owe us reparations, not the United Nations. No, 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 no. We're not fighting for reparations for Africans or nobody. We are fighting for reparations for the United States of America. This has nothing to do with the United Nations. This has everything to do with the United States of America. We should not get involved with international reparations, period, especially with Africans, until they work out which ones was the sellers and the traders and the rat bastards. No. Reparations is solely based off of what happened to foundational Black Americans here in the United States and companies that made money here in the United States, not the United Nations. Not the United Nations at all. The United Nations, no. That's a distraction. That is not, has anything to do with what the United States did to us here in this country. We want reparations for what the United States did to us in the United States. This has absolutely nothing to do with any type of international situation. Okay? That's a distraction to make sure we never get it. Okay? We must stay focused, and we are fighting for what happened to us in the United States of America. Okay? We're fighting over this. Okay? We're fighting over people that you can go back and know. This is what we fighting over. We done picked all that cotton, all that tobacco, and all that stuff. We never got paid. It was abusive. It was free labor. And we never got paid. And we keeping it short, and we keeping it sweet. We never got paid for the abuses right here. We never got paid. And we have mountains of evidence. This is West Point, Mississippi. Okay? You see the slave owner in the middle with the dog and the gun. And you see the slaves. Okay? In the United States. Not in Europe. Not nowhere else. We see the human trafficking and the slavery and the free labor right here. Okay? This has nothing to do with the United Nations or any of that. This has everything to do with the United States and what the United States did to us here, and we want our money. We know the police force and everything was built off of slave catchers. We have all the information. It's all been documented, so we don't even have to go back through nothing. Everything's already documented. We just need our day in court. There's extensive books written on the whole situation. The breeding of the American slave, because slavery was bred. The British banned slave ships. So America, why, listen, if I go to Africa and get some chickens, what I'm going to bring? I'm going to bring a bunch of hens and a bunch of roosters, right? When I bring them roosters and hens here, am I going to go back and get some more chickens? No, I'm going to what? Breed what? The roosters and the hens that I bought. So slavery was a breeding process. Fast as a woman would get pregnant, they would make the mandingo get back up in her. Some women passed away because they was getting pregnant 2 weeks, 3 weeks after they gave birth. It was brutal. Slaves were bred. This is what they don't want to teach. Slavery was a breeding process. They don't want to teach that. They don't want to teach that part. They don't want to teach 400 years of slavery. You know how many babies you can make women have that long? In 150 years, if you make them have baby after baby after baby after baby, you know how many people that is? You know about Africa Town, where the last slave ship came in? That's absolutely documented. Go look it up. We know slaves. We have the thorough history. So there ain't no more guessing. There's only guessing for those of you all that ain't been doing your studying, yeah. But those of us that have been studying, no, the documentation is beyond. You'll be surprised. You don't know who this is? All right, go study. Go look up Africa Town and find out who this is. This is the last slave off a slave ship. Go look it up. So we know. So it's not a matter of the information. Tariq Nasheed know all of that. We know all that. We know. And we suing all the way up to now because in places like Arkansas, they still got us picking cotton in these penitentiaries. Still today. So we talking some serious money. Because they have black men right now picking cotton for the penitentiaries. Right now. What is it? 1 a.m.? They finna get up in a minute and they finna start picking in a minute. In case you don't know. They got black men picking cotton right now. Do you understand me? So if we don't fight for the past, we sure ain't gonna stop what they doing now. We just rolling over, letting them do it. Basically, you cheer for the Knicks, you know. That's where your man at. The Knicks won, the Bulls won, the Bears won, that kind of stuff. Without reparations, you sure can't stop what's going on, because all they did was transfer slavery to the prison systems. Louisiana State Penitentiary is a slave plantation. Right now, right today. Right today. Right today. There's brothers that ain't standing up for their rights and end up with their rights gone because they weren't standing up for it. So we know everything about slavery. That ain't the part we need to get in court. Cause we got the documents. We got the documents. So it ain't debatable. Yeah, Mobile, Alabama, where my people from. My people in Mobile. We got the documents. We got the documentation. It's just we don't got the black men that's standing up like the Israelis stood up for what happened to them in the concentration camps, or how the Japanese stood up for what happened to them doing Pearl Harbor and all of that. We ain't. The black man, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with him. He don't have no allegiance to the other black men. Like, the black man don't have no allegiance. I don't know. He'd rather go against other black men. He's different. He's worse than all the other men. He just have no sense of black pride or nothing. You know, it to the point I don't even be wanting to say it. You know what I mean? It ain't nothing that you even want to say. It's so embarrassing. You know, it ain't no thing like, oh, you know, it's something I got to say something as a black man against my own self. You know what I'm saying? And that the black man today, you know, he the weakest black man. The black man been weak ever since the end of the 80s. That was the last strength we had. We had some strength in the old days. We had a lot of strength in the 60s, and we had some strength in the 80s. But from the 90s on, man, no strength nowhere. We usually would have a reemergence of some strong blackness, you know what I'm saying? We had the 60s, 70 kind of thing, went down, the 80s came. We had some emergence. Stop, fight the power and all that. But then ever since that, with this new group, they trying to sell them sexual rights and stuff. You know, they trying to feminize them, you know what I'm saying? Kind of. I don't know, they weird. They don't know none of this history. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. It's like a lack of pride. They don't got no pride. And when you're a race of people and you live and you a nationality like that, a race and a nationality, you ain't got no pride, then your woman ain't gonna have no pride. Because the woman gonna follow you. So the woman gonna follow you. So if the black man is weak, his woman gonna be weak. Because she ain't gotta be strong. She could capture him with a booty and some titties and some hair. But if she had to really stand on something to catch a king, then that's what she would do. But you don't gotta be nothing now to be with a dude. The black man ain't got no requirements from his women. You know, not even the way she look and carry herself. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we here honoring reparations. I'm going to talk about it all weekend, Juneteenth. We standing on that. We're going to push that hard. Hopefully, eventually we get a breakthrough. Things got to be stronger than this. And for those of us that's pushing it, I know you don't want to keep pushing it because it's like beating a dead horse. Because you're just talking to the air. Because we have so many black men that's pathetic losers. And because we got an internet generation, you could be a loser. And you could be a loser publicly because you're on the internet. Back when we was outside and you had to be outside with a lot of brothers, you couldn't be always going against the grain like you can now. We got that one brother that got into it with Corey Holcomb. Everything we say, he say the opposite. He do that on purpose. He troll his own race. That's why him and Corey got into it. This brother is disgusting. Every video he make, he degrade his own race. And you wonder who the hell raised this dude. He's a disgrace. And imagine how many other losers listening to him. Y'all know what he's talking about. The heavyset brother that's always cooning on social media. I don't be one to social media beef with dudes like that. Because I ain't Corey Holcomb and I ain't going to prison with dudes. But I ain't Corey Holcomb, so beefing with me, you know, shit, I can't do it. I got a gang, you know what I'm saying? I got a gang banging mentality, so that's why you don't be seeing me beefing. You know, I got this me and I got this me, and I'm trying to be this me. I'll go here, but I'm trying to be this me. I ain't trying to be this one. Yeah, I ain't trying to be this one. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to crash out. I'm going to threaten you violently and all that. So I don't do that. That's why I'm not a revolutionary no more. Because I was just out there over whooping, overdoing it by myself. You look back, it's like it's a whole bunch of people and it's the army over there, and you say, charge, and you start running. And you hear all the footprints over there running this way, but you listen by you don't hear no footprints. You look back, your army still standing way back there. You done ran out there by yourself. You done ran into the other army by yourself. That's what it's like. You all a charge. There'll be nobody behind you. Yeah. He just out his way say everything against black people. Like one of them nerds you go to school with, and maybe he was a nerd and a weirdo, and so he mad that black people didn't ever respect him. So now he got a voice. You could tell he was like a buster or something. He wasn't cool with the other kids. He wasn't a cool black dude. He was the weirdo buster. So now you can see he mad over that, but you're still the weirdo buster. And you still you're going to get done dirty. You still going to find out you're a black man. He going to find out. He going to F around and find out. He going to find out. He not going to get no special sellout pass. He ain't going to get no sellout pass. He going to see. They all find out. He going to see. CW going to see. All of them fools and baboons and coons, they all going to find out the hard way. Because one thing, when you got an opposition, one thing when you got two sides battling, when you got two sides battling, one thing is they respect each other. But one thing both sides hate is these weirdos in the middle. Nobody likes a sellout. The opposing army respects the other army to the utmost. But nobody likes the sellouts. And the first chance they get, they're going to do the sellouts dirty. Because nobody likes them. If you black and you stand up for your race, even though white supremacists or whatever might not agree with what you want, but they respect you. But that one that's trying to kiss their ass, they don't like you. Nobody likes an ass kisser. Nobody like you, and nobody trusts you. So for the blacks that's always sucking up, nobody trusts you. Why would somebody trust you? You don't even ride with your own people. You think they're gonna trust you? They looking at you. Look at him. He's selling. He will stand with his own people. We ain't messing with you. You supposed to stand with your people. If it wasn't for strong black people, none of them coons would be nowhere today. They wouldn't be able to get on the bus. They wouldn't even be able to get on YouTube without the MLKs and the Malcolm X's and the Civil Rights Movement. They wouldn't even be on YouTube. YouTube would be whites only. As a fact. So it's like it's time for the young black man to get some backbone. Now people say, well, Pharrell, what about the gangs? The gangs represent backbone. So when so many brothers don't got backbone, then the brothers got to find out and try to identify backbone, and they misidentify backbone and they be gangbanging. If some of you brothers that had leadership qualities would show some backbone, the gangs would follow you. But the reason the gangs is lost is because the talking heads is some kitty cats. That's why. That's why. Because if you really got that leadership quality and shit like that, the gang's going to follow you. You can lock me up right now with how many other black gangs you want. They're going to follow me. Anybody's in the county jail will tell you that. Anybody was in the county jail, me, BDs, GDs, Blackstones, Vice Lords, folk on hustlers, they will tell you. They always riding with me. They'll tell you. I came out unscathed. There ain't no county jail stories about me like that. No, like that. Hell no. Because they know when I was in there, and we all got on them beige DOCs, they all know I said we was DOCs. They know. Our gang, on my deck, we was the Department of Corrections. Then you BD. Then you that other stuff. But first, like I tell them, if you a GD, why your pants say DOC? Your pants say Department of Correction. They're like, real shit, Pharaoh. I say, okay, you the leader of the GDs. Go let all the GDs out this division, out this cell, out this division, because they got you locked in a big division, and you here and they there. Okay, go open the door, let them out. If you're the leader of the GDs, lead them out, lead them out, lead them out to jail. Lead them out to jail. If you're the big leader, walk us out the county jail. I'm just saying, you the leader. We want to go home, right, everybody? They're like, hell yeah. All right, dude, say the big leader. He should be able to get us out, right? And if he can't get us out, he ain't shit, and I ain't shit, and ain't nobody shit, right? They're like, hell yeah. Because the only one running something is the one got the key. Yeah. You got the key so we could go home, then you big daddy woo-woo. But if you ain't got the key so we can go home, whatever. So which one of all these big mouth black people got some food for us, got some transportation, got delivery service where we can send food from state to state? What's the name of your grocery stores so we don't got to go to Whole Foods? Oh, I thought so. You the internet leader. I'm the only one keeping $1 billion and let black people know we messed up. Talking about you a Moor, talking about you a Muslim, talking about you all this bullshit, and you can't, okay, show me what you can get with that. Nothing. Nothing. The black Christians can't do nothing. The Nation of Islam can't do nothing. The Moors can't do nothing. Nation of Gods on Earth can't do nothing. GDs, BDs, Blackstone, Four Corner Hustlers, Crips and Bloods can't do nothing. Can't do nothing. Can't do nothing. Can't make nothing move, can't make nothing shake. So then why you in that shit if you can't make nothing move and nothing shake? Especially the Christians, the Muslims, that's supposed to be so high knowledge but never could unify the people. I mean, I got love for Minister Farrakhan, but he ain't no good leader. He never unified no black people and doing nothing but giving them some money. That's the only thing was unified, is giving them money on the Million Man March. He was unified that money, but we ain't never did nothing under dude. We ain't never did nothing. When we get leaders that can do something, they run in there like the Fred Hamptons. You can see what happened to them. When we really do get leaders that really can feed the community and stuff, what happened to them? So you got to ask yourself, why certain leaders get wiped out and why other ones, they let them live? You know why. So look, do your research. Do your research, and we're going to end by showing you everybody that owe us money, all right? Don't log off until you see all of this and pay attention, all right? Victory.
This is 13 corporations that profited from slavery. So here we go. Number 1, J.P. Morgan Chase. Between 1831 and 1865, 2 predecessor banks, Citizens Bank and Canal Bank in Louisiana, accepted approximately 13,000 enslaved individuals as collateral on loans and took ownership of approximately 1,250 of them when the plantation owners defaulted on the loans. Number 2, New York Life, an insurance company, sold insurance policies on enslaved Africans. Number 3, Wachovia. 2 historical predecessors owned enslaved Africans and accepted them as payment. Number 4, N.M. Rothschild and Sons Bank in London. Nathan Mayer Rothschild, the banking family's 19th century patriarch, made personal gains by using enslaved Africans as collateral in dealings with a slave owner. I have a list of this, so if I stumble, it's because I have a lot of chicken scratch. Number 4, Norfolk Southern offered slaveholders $180. That's $3,379 today. This article was written in 2013. So that's $3,379 today a piece for enslaved Africans they would rent to the railroad for 1 year. The Central Georgia, another company aligned with Norfolk Southern Line today, valued slaves at $31,303. Today that would be $663,033. Did I say that right? Yes. $663,033. Hopefully that came out right. Sounds weird. Number 5. U.S. Today found that their parent company, E.W. Scripps and Gannett, had links to the slave trade. Number 6. Fleet Boston evolved from an early financial institution. Providence Bank founded John Brown, who was a slave trader and owned ships used to transport enslaved Africans. The bank financed Brown's slave voyages and profited from them. Brown even reportedly helped charter what became Brown University. Number 7. CSX used slave labor to construct portions of U.S. rail lines under the political and legal system that was in place more than a century ago. 2 enslaved Africans were John Henry and Reuben. The record states they were to be returned clothed when they arrived to work for the company. Number 8. Canadian National Railway Company. The Mobile and Ohio, now part of Canadian National, valued their slaves lost to the war and emancipation at $199,691 on record. That amount is currently worth $2.2 million. Whew. Number 9. Brown Brothers Harriman, the oldest and largest private investment bank, founded 1818, owned hundreds of enslaved Africans and financed the cotton economy by lending millions to Southern planters, merchants, and cotton brokers. Number 10. Brooks Brothers, high-end suit retailer, got their start selling slave clothes to various slave traders in the 1800s. They got their start by selling slave clothes. Number 11, Barclays. British multinational banking and financial services company headquartered in London has now conceded that companies brought over the years may have been involved in the slave trade. Number 12, Lehman Brothers. This business empire started in the slave trade. Quote from Joe Pelizzotto: "This is a sad part of our history or our heritage. We're deeply apologetic. It was a terrible thing. There's no one sitting in the United States in the year 2005, hopefully, who would ever in a million years defend the practice? 13. Aetna. Aetna? Aetna. U.S. largest health insurer, apologized for selling policies in the 1850s that reimbursed slave owners for financial losses when the enslaved Africans they owned died. Aetna has long acknowledged that for several years shortly after its founding in 1853, that the company may have insured the lives of slaves. A few other a few other corporations, companies that profited from slavery: Princeton, Harvard Law School, Tiffany & Co., Bank of America, Yale University, and Wells Fargo.
My poll tax certificate from 1960, when we had to pay $2 or $3 to vote, and we only made $2 or $3. So you had to choose between eating or voting. That was the suppression back in the 60s. If you missed 1 year, they doubled it up on you the next year. I didn't have to pay because I was a veteran. So this is my exemption certificate, but I had to show it. So when they say you don't have to show ID, we've been showing ID since we started voting.